she whispered. "Don't save me, human." The alien woman begged in tears. "Don't waste coins on me." The auction hall smelled of rust, sweat, and despair. Iron chains clinked as the crowd of traders and mercenaries pushed closer to the stage, their voices a mix of jeers and greedy anticipation. Lanterns flickered above, casting long shadows across the faces of creatures from half a dozen worlds. Ethan Doran stood at the back, his jaw tight, hands buried in the pockets of his worn coat. He hadn't come here to buy anyone. He hated the very idea of the alien slave markets, hated how life could be reduced to coins and chains. But something inside him, perhaps the faint whisper of conscience he hadn't managed to bury, kept dragging him into places like this. The auctioneer, a squat man with oily hair, banged his staff on the stage. Lot 32. A rare catch. A woman of the Lirati, known for their beauty and healing gifts. Bidding starts at 500 credits. The crowd stirred with excitement. Ethan's eyes shifted to the stage, and for a heartbeat, he forgot to breathe. She stood there, shackled at the wrists and ankles, her silver-blue skin catching the lantern light like liquid metal. Her hair, long and pale, fell across her shoulders, and her eyes, violet and trembling, seemed too large for her thin, exhausted face. She wasn't fighting. She wasn't crying out. She simply stood, as if the weight of the universe had already broken her. When the bidding began, voices rose in quick succession. 600. 700. 900. Ethan felt his stomach twist. He knew what buyers wanted with Lirati women. He had seen too many vanish into the hands of the cruel and the powerful. And then something happened that he would never forget. Her gaze lifted. Across the sea of shouting bidders, her eyes locked on his. Not on the auctioneer, not on the buyers waving their tokens, but on him. It was as if she knew. As if she could see that Ethan did not belong here, that his soul recoiled from the trade happening before his eyes. The auctioneer shouted, 1,000 credits. Ethan's fists clenched. He told himself he wouldn't. He couldn't. He was barely getting by himself, hauling freight across colonies, taking odd jobs. 1,000 credits was more than he had seen in months. But then she moved her lips, almost too faint to catch. A whisper. Don't. Ethan froze. On the stage, her head shook almost imperceptibly, her violet eyes glistening. He could hear her voice in his mind, though she hadn't spoken aloud. Don't save me, human. Don't waste coins on me. The crowd kept roaring, numbers climbing higher. But Ethan's heart hammered in his chest. He had no plan, no logic, only the burning conviction that if he walked away, her face would haunt him for the rest of his days. 1,500. Someone barked. Ethan's voice cut through the noise, firm and clear. 2,000. The room fell silent. Heads turned. The auctioneer's grin widened, greedy and vile. 2,000. Going once, going twice, sold. The staff banged against the wood. Chains clattered as the guards dragged her toward him. Her eyes were wide now, filled with something that was not gratitude but grief. When the manacles clicked open and she stumbled into his arms, she whispered again, barely audible. Why? I told you not to. Why waste so much on me? Ethan steadied her, ignoring the stares around them. Because you're not a thing to be wasted. They left the market under the cover of night, slipping through narrow alleys until they reached Ethan's small freighter docked on the outskirts. Once inside, she collapsed into the co-pilot's chair, her breathing shallow. Ethan rummaged through his supply chest, finding water and a ration bar. She refused them at first, turning her face away. You should have let them take me, she whispered hoarsely. I am broken. I am nothing. You're not nothing, Ethan said sharply. Don't ever believe that. She flinched at his tone, then studied him as if trying to understand his madness. Finally, with trembling hands, she took the water and drank. Tell me your name, Ethan asked softly. After a long silence, she said, Liara. He nodded. Liara, you're safe now. No one is ever going to chain you again. Her eyes filled with tears. Safe. Do you not understand, human? The chains are still here. She touched her chest. Inside. They will never leave. Ethan leaned forward, his voice steady but kind. Then let me help you break them, one piece at a time. Days passed as they traveled between stars. Liara barely spoke, often staring out the viewport with haunted eyes. Ethan gave her space, but he made sure she ate, that she had clean clothes, that she knew she wasn't alone. One evening, as the ship drifted in orbit around a quiet moon, Liara approached him in the cockpit. Why did you do it? She asked, her voice fragile. Why spend so much of your life's earnings on me when I told you not to? Ethan looked at her, then out at the stars. Because I couldn't stand to see someone like you, someone who deserves freedom, sold like an object. If coins were the only way to stop it, then every credit was worth it. Her lips trembled. She sank into the seat beside him, burying her face in her hands. I am afraid I will never be whole again. Ethan placed a hand gently over hers. Maybe scars never leave. But broken doesn't mean worthless, Liara. Sometimes broken things are the strongest. She lifted her gaze to him then, and for the first time, he saw something beyond sorrow, something fragile like the first light of dawn. Weeks later, they reached a hidden sanctuary on the edge of the galaxy, a haven where freed souls from dozens of worlds gathered. Ethan led Liara down the ramp, into the open arms of others who had once been shackled, others who had learned to live again. She turned to him, tears shimmering in her violet eyes. I told you not to waste coins on me, she whispered. Ethan smiled faintly. I didn't waste them. I invested them. In you. Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she threw her arms around him, trembling as she clung to the human who had given her not just freedom, but hope. For the first time, Liara's tears were not of despair, but of rebirth. And Ethan knew, deep in his bones, that he had not saved her coins at all. He had saved her life. Weeks later, Ethan's ship descended onto a quiet sanctuary planet, an oasis hidden beyond the trade routes where freed beings lived without fear. The air was fresh, the sky unscarred by industry, and laughter drifted across the fields where children of many worlds played together. Ethan guided Liara down the ramp, her bare feet touching soil for the first time in years. She paused, as if the ground itself might vanish beneath her. The scent of freedom overwhelmed her, and she turned, trembling, to the man who had defied her whispered plea. I told you not to save me, she said softly, violet eyes shimmering. I told you not to waste coins on me. Ethan smiled faintly, his voice low but steady. You weren't a waste, Liara. Coins are just numbers. But your life, you're worth more than every ship in the stars. Her lips quivered. And if I never heal, if the chains inside me never break, then let them stay, Ethan replied gently. Scars are proof you survived. And surviving is stronger than surrender. Something within her cracked then, not from pain but from the weight lifting at last. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but they were not of despair. They were of release.